Ever wondered who collects those delicious oysters you enjoy at a fancy restaurant? Or maybe that intriguing seaweed in your favorite sushi roll?
Well, get ready to dive into a fascinating career path because today we're talking about becoming an on-foot aquatic resources collector.
We're going deep on what this job really entails, using insights straight from RoleCatcher's career library.
And to help you ace that interview, we'll unpack some common questions they ask, revealing what those interviewers are really looking for.
Are you ready to test the waters?
Let's dive in.
Okay, so for those unfamiliar, paint a picture for us. What exactly does an on-foot aquatic resources collector do day to day?
Imagine this. You're wading through cool coastal waters as the sun rises, surrounded by the calls of seabirds.
Sounds idyllic.
It can be. But your task is to collect various resources. We're talking seaweed, shellfish like clams, mussels, oysters.
The seafood platter essentials.
Exactly. Even crustaceans or sea urchins, all while ensuring the health of those ecosystems for future harvests.
There's a definite environmental awareness aspect to it then.
Absolutely. This job requires a solid understanding of marine biology and environmental science. In fact, many on-foot aquatic resource collectors start out with a degree in marine biology or a related field.
So it's not just about braving the elements. You need some serious knowledge too.
You got it. Let's say you're collecting oysters. You need to know where they spawn, how they grow, and what factors might affect their populations. That's where RoleCatcher can be a game changer.
Oh, how so?
Imagine having an AI that analyzes the job description and points out the exact skills you need to highlight. Maybe you volunteered at an aquarium in college or helped with a beach cleanup. RoleCatcher picks up on those hidden gems and helps you showcase your passion.
It's like having a personal assistant for your career.
Exactly.
Speaking of acing that application, let's dive into some interview questions. First up, can you tell us about your experience working in aquatic resource collection? This sounds straightforward, but what are interviewers hoping to hear?
This is your time to shine, even if you haven't had a paid position. Interviewers want to see passion and a genuine interest in the field. Don't just think about formal jobs. Have you volunteered for a marine conservation project, participated in beach cleanups, or even spent time observing tidal pools?
So even personal experiences can be relevant.
Absolutely.
Now, let's say you're asked, how do you ensure accurate data collection during fieldwork? I can see this being important since you're tracking what you're collecting, but what's the deeper significance here?
It dives into your meticulousness and scientific approach. The interviewer wants to see if you understand that data drives decisions in resource management.
Makes sense. You need to track those resources carefully.
Exactly. Mentioning specific methods you'd use is key. Imagine telling them, I'd use waterproof data sheets and GPS tagging to record the precise location and quantity of each species collected.
That's a great example. It's about showcasing the how, not just saying you're organized.
Right.
And speaking of problem solving, our next interview question is, can you describe a time you encountered a problem during aquatic resource collection and how you resolved it? I'm guessing personal anecdotes are key here.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a major crisis. Let's say during a beach cleanup, you noticed a bird tangled in fishing line.
Oh no, poor bird.
You could say. I carefully approached using my knowledge of bird behavior to avoid further distress and untangled it safely. Even if hypotheticals show you can apply knowledge to real-world scenarios, RoleCatcher's practice questions are phenomenal for this.
Oh yeah. Tell me more.
They offer tons of scenario-based questions, and their AI analyzes your response. It's like having a personal interview coach, giving you pointers and helping you craft the perfect answer.
That's incredibly helpful. Now, our next question focuses on a vital skill. How do you ensure safety during aquatic resource collection? This one feels self-explanatory, but what are those key points to hit?
Demonstrate responsibility and awareness of potential hazards. Mention specific safety protocols you'd follow, like, before entering the water, I'd always check currents, tides, weather conditions.
So it's all about being prepared.
Exactly. I'd wear appropriate safety gear waders with good traction, a life jacket if needed, gloves for protection. It's like a pilot's pre-flight check, but for the ocean. Show you're not just thinking about your safety, but potential risks and how to mitigate them.
It shows you're prepared for anything. And speaking of preparation, our next question is, how do you stay up to date with the latest techniques and technologies in aquatic resource collection? This field is always changing.
Absolutely. This job isn't just about tradition, it's about utilizing the latest science and technology for sustainable harvesting.
Right, because what worked 20 years ago might not be the best approach now.
Exactly. Whether it's new types of nets that minimize bycatch or sonar technology for more accurate resource assessment, staying current is key.
So how do you demonstrate that you're not stuck in the past?
It's about demonstrating a genuine interest in the field's progression. You could mention subscribing to relevant journals like Aquaculture Magazine, attending industry conferences, or even participating in online forums and discussions.
Showing you're engaged with the wider community.
Exactly. It's about showcasing your commitment to continuous learning. Imagine mentioning a recent article you read about a new type of seaweed farming technique, or a webinar you attended on sustainable oyster harvesting practices.
It makes you stand out as someone who's truly invested.
Exactly. That's the kind of proactive approach that impresses interviewers.
Now let's talk teamwork. This next question is, can you describe a time when you had to work collaboratively with a team to achieve a common goal? I imagine this job isn't always a solo endeavor, right?
You're right. While there might be times when you're working independently, collaboration is key in this field. Whether it's coordinating collection efforts, sharing data, or problem-solving together, teamwork is essential for success. Think back to a time you worked effectively as part of a team, even if it wasn't directly related to aquatic resource collection. Maybe it was a group project in school, a volunteer activity, or even working with friends or family on a shared task.
So the specific experience matters less than the skills you demonstrate.
Exactly. Focus on showcasing your communication, collaboration, and problem-solving skills within a team setting.
Okay, so it's all about how you frame it.
Right. For instance, you could say, during a beach cleanup with a local environmental group, we had to work together to collect and sort a large amount of debris.
Sounds like a challenge.
It was, but we got through it. I took the initiative to organize a system for categorizing the waste, which helped us streamline the process and ensured everyone was on the same page.
There you go, teamwork in action.
Exactly. And don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you practice framing these anecdotes. Their AI analyzes your responses, helping you highlight those key teamwork skills that interviewers are looking for.
That's a great tip. Now let's switch gears to a question about handling data. How do you ensure that data is recorded accurately and consistently during aquatic resource collection? We've touched on accuracy, but what's different about this question?
This one delves deeper into your systems and processes for maintaining data integrity. It's not just about being accurate, it's about being consistently accurate.
Which is important for any kind of scientific work, right?
Exactly. And it's crucial for research, resource management, and even legal compliance. Imagine if inaccurate data led to setting the wrong fishing quotas.
That would be a disaster.
It could devastate a whole fish population. So you really want to emphasize your meticulous approach to data collection, storage, and management. You could say, I understand data accuracy is paramount. I use waterproof notebooks, digital data loggers, and GPS tagging to ensure all information is recorded accurately and consistently.
So you've got a system for everything.
Plus, I'm comfortable with spreadsheet software and data visualization for analysis and presentation.
That answer shows you're familiar with various methods and understand using the right tool for the job. Speaking of the right tools, this next question is interesting. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements with team members during aquatic resource collection? This one always feels tricky in an interview.
It is a bit tricky. You don't want to come across as someone who avoids conflict, but you also don't want to seem like you're always butting heads with colleagues.
It's a delicate balance. So how do you walk that tightrope?
You want to demonstrate that you're a team player who can approach disagreements respectfully and constructively.
Okay, I like that.
For example, I believe open and honest communication is crucial for resolving conflicts. If a disagreement arose, I'd first try to understand my teammate's perspective and then calmly explain my own.
So it's about finding common ground.
Right. The focus is on a solution that benefits the team and the project.
That's a great answer. It shows you're a good listener, a clear communicator, and focused on solutions, not problems. Now, this next question takes us back to the heart of this career. Can you describe your knowledge of aquatic ecosystems and their importance? This seems more theoretical. Why is it so important for an on-foot aquatic resources collector to understand the broader context?
It goes beyond collecting resources. It taps into why your work matters.
I see. It's about the bigger picture.
Exactly. Imagine someone asking you, why should we care about protecting oyster beds? You could talk about their role in filtering water, providing habitat for other species, and even mitigating shoreline erosion.
It's about connecting the dots between your work and the health of the entire ecosystem.
Exactly. Interviewers want to see that you're not just there for a paycheck. You genuinely care. Speaking of passion, this next question is important. How do you stay motivated in a job that can be physically demanding and sometimes repetitive? I can see how this would be a concern for some.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Some days are probably tougher than others.
Exactly. You're out in the elements, sun, rain, cold. It's physically demanding and can be repetitive. This question is about your dedication.
So how do you convince an interviewer you're in it for the long haul?
Convey genuine passion for the work, highlighting the rewarding aspects. You might say, I'm driven by a deep respect for the ocean and a desire to contribute to the sustainable management of its resources. The physical challenges are part of the job, and I find satisfaction knowing my work makes a difference.
It's about more than just a job. It's about a commitment to the environment.
Precisely. And RoleCatcher can help you articulate that passion. Their AI-powered tools can help you tailor your answers, ensuring you're conveying your enthusiasm in a way that resonates with interviewers.
That's so valuable. Now, our next question is a big one. How do you handle working in potentially dangerous situations, such as encountering aggressive marine life or experiencing sudden weather changes? That sends chills down my spine just thinking about it.
It's a crucial question. Safety is paramount in this line of work. The interviewer wants to see that you're aware of the risks and have the knowledge and composure to handle yourself in those situations.
So it's not just about identifying a poisonous jellyfish, but knowing what to do if you encounter one.
Exactly. When answering, focus on demonstrating your knowledge of safety protocols, your ability to stay calm, and your willingness to follow procedures. For instance, I understand this environment has risks, and I prioritize safety. I'm first aid and CPR certified and trained to identify and avoid dangerous marine life. I always check forecasts and carry a waterproof communication device.
Those are all crucial. It shows you're prepared for the unexpected.
Precisely. Don't be afraid to mention personal experiences where you've had to think fast and act, even if it wasn't directly related to the job. Maybe you were hiking and had to navigate around a sudden storm.
I've been there. It's all about staying calm.
Exactly. It demonstrates your ability to stay calm and resourceful under pressure.
It shows you can handle whatever the ocean throws at you.
Exactly. And that's a quality that any on-foot aquatic resources collector needs to have.
Speaking of handling what the ocean throws at you, our next question is about the tools of the trade. Can you describe your experience using and maintaining various tools and equipment used in aquatic resource collection? This sounds like it's testing for some hands-on skills.
Absolutely. It's one thing to know about collecting oysters, but it's another to actually use an oyster dredge effectively and safely. Interviewers want to see that you're comfortable with the practical aspects of the job.
So we're talking waders, nets, buckets, maybe even some high-tech gadgets I don't even know about.
Exactly. Depending on the specific job, you might use anything from simple hand tools to more specialized equipment like seaweed harvesters or even underwater drones for surveying.
Underwater drones. This field is way more high-tech than I imagined.
It's constantly evolving, and of course, knowing how to maintain this equipment is essential.
Right, because a rusty oyster dredge isn't going to be much use.
Exactly. So be prepared to talk about your experience with maintaining and repairing tools, even if it's just basic stuff.
So even if you haven't used every piece of equipment, honesty is key.
Absolutely. Highlight your eagerness to learn and adapt. You could say, while I'm more familiar with hand tools, I'm a fast learner and excited to gain experience with specialized equipment.
Shows you're willing to dive in, pun intended.
Exactly. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and tell you exactly what tools and technologies are most important to highlight.
It's like having a secret weapon for your job search. Now let's shift gears to a question about communication. How would you describe your communication style, especially when working with a diverse team? This feels like a classic interview question, but how does it apply specifically to this field?
Well, you're not just communicating with the fish. This job involves working with a diverse group, fellow collectors, researchers, maybe even local fishing communities.
So it's not just about being a people person, it's about being a people person in a potentially challenging or stressful environment.
Exactly. Highlight your ability to communicate clearly both verbally and in writing, and to be a good listener. You might say, I value open communication and believe in active listening. I'm always willing to share my perspective and respect the opinions of others, even when they differ from my own.
It's about building bridges, not burning them. especially when you're working closely with others. Okay, let's dive into another crucial aspect. How do you ensure compliance with environmental regulations and sustainable harvesting practices? This one feels like a biggie.
It is huge. Overfishing and habitat destruction are serious threats to our oceans. Interviewers want to know that you're not just there to collect, you're there to protect these resources for the future.
So it's not enough to just know how to harvest. You need to understand the why and the how of doing it sustainably.
Exactly. This question is about demonstrating your knowledge of those regulations and your commitment to upholding them. Talk about catch limits, size restrictions, seasonal closures, protected areas, whatever applies to the specific role you're seeking.
So it's kind of like knowing the rules of the road, but for the ocean.
Exactly. And you need to show that you're proactive in staying informed and compliant. You could say something like, I understand the importance of protecting our marine resources. I'm committed to staying informed about all relevant regulations and sustainable practices. I even subscribe to industry newsletters and participate in online forums to stay up to date.
That shows real dedication. And speaking of dedication, our next question explores a different aspect of the job. How do you handle working independently for extended periods, often in isolated locations? This seems like a stark contrast to those teamwork questions.
You're right. This job can be a bit of a paradox. You need to be a team player, but you also need to be comfortable with solitude.
It's like being an introvert and an extrovert all rolled into one.
Exactly. You might be out on the water alone for hours, relying on your own judgment and resourcefulness.
So how do you convince an interviewer that you can handle that?
Highlight your ability to stay focused, motivated, and resourceful, even when you're working independently. You might say, I enjoy both teamwork and independent work. I'm comfortable with solitude and confident in my ability to stay productive. I'm also a planner, so I always make sure I have all the necessary supplies and safety gear.
It's about being self-sufficient and mentally prepared for those long stretches of solo work.
Precisely. And it's about showcasing your problem-solving skills. If something unexpected comes up, you need to be able to think on your feet and handle it.
Which, let's be honest, is probably pretty likely when you're out on the open water.
Exactly.
It sounds like this job attracts people who are adaptable and resourceful. Speaking of adaptation, our final question for today is all about embracing change. How do you approach learning new skills or adapting to new technologies in this field?
That's a crucial one. The world of aquatic resource collection is constantly changing, with new technologies and techniques emerging all the time. Interviewers want to see that you're adaptable, eager to learn, and committed to staying ahead of the curve.
So how can you demonstrate that you're a lifelong learner?
Talk about your willingness to attend workshops or conferences, read industry publications, or even take online courses. You could say, I'm passionate about staying at the forefront of this field. I regularly read journals like Aquaculture magazine, and I'm currently enrolled in an online course about sustainable shellfish farming techniques.
That shows a real commitment to professional development.
And remember, RoleCatcher can be an invaluable resource for identifying those learning opportunities. Their AI can analyze job descriptions and point you towards relevant courses, certifications, or even professional organizations that can help you stay ahead in your career.
It's like having a personalized roadmap for career growth. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of on-foot aquatic resources collection. Who knew there was so much to it? Big thanks to expert speaker for navigating these waters with us. If you want to learn more about this career or ANY career that sparks your curiosity, head over to RoleCatcher. They've got a whole ocean of resources waiting for you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving into those fascinating corners of the world.